God loves his enemies so much that he sent his one and only son to die for them in order for them to be reconciled to himself. And those of us who have not been reconciled to God through Jesus, or those of us who were once living in sin, and before we had been reconciled to God through Jesus, we were enemies of God. Right? But now through Jesus, if we have placed our faith in him, right, we are now at peace with God. We are now friends of God, those of us who obey him, follow him, etc. And it's because God loves his enemies why he tells us also to be like him in loving our enemies. And it's just such a beautiful thing just to, just ponder on that. Once an enemy of God, but in his grace and mercy, because he loves me, he sent his son to die for me so that I would be reconciled to him and no longer an enemy and have that access. If I decide to place my faith in Jesus, right? Because that's the only way. He is the way to the Father. No one gets to the Father except through him. And so just to ponder on that, once was an enemy of God, but because God sent his son because he loved me, and by his grace and his mercy, I can now be at peace with God. I can now be reconciled to God. I can now be considered his friend. I can now be his friend and have a relationship with him. And now he tells me to also be the same way like him, in his likeness, in his image, right? Love my enemies, bless them, not curse them, pray for them.